Hi guys, it's Dylan from Bijou Diamond Jewellery in London with another watch discussion video, and today we're going to compare steel and yellow gold versus steel and rose gold, and we're going to compare specifically ladies' watches. Now, if we go back in time to 1933, where Rolex patented and trademarked Rolex, which is their combination of steel and gold watches, aka bimetal watches, and Rolex is a combination basically of Rolex and or, which is gold in French, so OR, making Rolex. And then in 1948, Rolex released their first Rolex watch, which was a steel and yellow gold Datejust. Is still one of the most iconic watches for Rolex, a steel and yellow gold Datejust. And 70 years on, it still remains one of the most important watches in their collection, which makes it one of the most important watches in the industry. But until recently, Rolex only offered Rolex in steel and yellow gold. In fact, it wasn't until 2011 when Rolex introduced steel and rose gold, and that was on the Yachtmaster 2. There are a few different watches in the collection now that are steel and rose gold, but the majority of the bimetal Rolexes are still steel and yellow gold. Okay, so coming on to the two watches we're going to use to compare these two metals or combos is the old ladies Datejust 26mm. That's since been replaced by the 28mm last year. Now, I have my personal opinion of which of the two I prefer, the two combinations, but my opinion is based upon what I prefer the look of, and also what I found our own clients have really preferred and seem to buy more. And it's a combination of a few other different things as well, but I'll come into that. First things first, who buys which variation? Okay, so most of our older clients tend to prefer the yellow gold variation. In fact, very, very few of them would ever consider the rose gold variation. And a lot of our younger clients buy the rose gold variation. So there is definitely an audience for both that we found from Bijou Diamond Jewellery. There is a specific age group that prefers each metal. But we have found overall that the yellow gold sells far better, the steel and yellow gold variation sells far better than the rose gold variation. I think that's probably because the yellow gold, in my opinion, and seems that our clients share the same opinion as me, is that the yellow gold has a little bit more of an elegant look to it, a slightly more understated look in a way. It is a little bit more classic and a little bit more timeless than the rose gold. Rose gold is a relatively new movement in terms of watchmaking and also jewellery as well. I think that people prefer the historic look to a steel and yellow gold Datejust. Definitely the fact that this watch has been around, or this variation has been around for 70 years, really speaks volumes. The fact that it's still an incredibly popular watch in the Rolex collection, whereas the rose gold variation has been around for much less than 10 years. So I feel like one of the reasons why our clients prefer steel and yellow gold is the historic value it has as well. And it's proven the test of time, especially over a long, long period, like 70 years. We also find that some of our younger clients do like the yellow gold as well. So overall for us, we definitely sell many more of the yellow gold or steel and yellow gold versions versus the steel and rose gold versions. And for that reason, I'm sure there are other people in the industry as well that have found this too. But the market value of the steel and yellow gold tends to be a little bit better and stronger than the steel and rose gold. Steel and yellow watches tend to be a little bit more easy to sell. Another reason why our clients tend to go for the steel and yellow is that rose gold is actually very soft. It's one of the softest metals, in fact, and it scratches very easily, which makes the watch look older very quickly, looks tarnished and doesn't look as fresh as the steel and yellow does. And we also find as well that the yellow gold tends to hide scratches better than the rose gold. I'm not really sure why that is, but we found that the rose gold tends to show scratches quite quickly. Another little difference between the two of them is the fact that the rose gold is actually slightly more expensive to buy from us and also from Rolex direct as well. The retail price is a little bit extra on the rose gold watches, purely because it's a little bit harder to craft. A little bit more technology goes into creating that alloy versus the yellow gold alloy they make for 18 karat. In fact, you can even see the difference in wear and tear on these two watches we have here. The steel and yellow gold version, if you can't tell already from the different case setup and also different bracelet and clasp, it is a much older watch than the steel and rose gold version. And then if you take a closer look at the bezel on the steel and yellow versus the steel and rose gold, you can see that steel and rose gold bezel is quite smooth on this watch. It's been worn down, and that is purely because the rose gold is much softer. Like I said, this is actual visual proof of that even though this watch, both of them have been worn daily by previous clients, but the rose gold definitely tarnishes and wears down much quicker than the yellow gold. Okay, so that's what we found to be more popular from our clients at Bijou Diamond Jewellery. But personally, I prefer the yellow gold because it's more sellable. It's also more classic. It's more elegant in my opinion. It's more of an understated watch, even though I find that yellow gold is slightly louder than rose gold. However, if we were to look at both these watches and they were full yellow gold and versus full rose gold, I definitely would pick the rose gold. But when combining gold with steel, I personally prefer the yellow gold variation. One thing we find with our clients as well is that they find the rose gold, or especially Rolex's very pink gold, it looks a little bit cheap compared, I'm not saying it does personally, but I'm saying this is what our clients have said, is that they find it looks a little bit cheap compared to the yellow gold. The rose gold is very rosy and pink, and I think a lot of them find that it looks quite similar, especially in the steel and rose gold combination, the Rolex combination, that it looks a little bit like a high street watch, a much less expensive watch than it actually is. Because a lot of the high street watch brands have started to do this rose gold and steel combo, companies like Michael Kors, and I think that clients would prefer the more classic Rolex look. Having said that, I don't think this applies to full rose gold watches. Full rose gold Rolexes are absolutely beautiful, so for me it definitely doesn't apply in the same way on a full gold watch. But yeah, I would definitely say for a combo of metals, so bimetal watches, I prefer steel and yellow versus steel and rose. It all comes down to personal preference. I'd say if you're maybe an older person or older lady, maybe the yellow gold is a better option, but definitely don't rule out the rose gold. Try them both on. The rose gold is a very, very pretty watch. I can't emphasize that enough. I'd actually say it's probably prettier than the yellow gold because it's softer on the skin. No matter what skin tone you have, the rose is definitely a softer metal, but it is very, very pink on Rolex watches. And I just prefer personally the more classic look and elegant look that yellow gold offers. To sum up, when making your decision, just bear in mind the fact that the rose gold and steel combination is a lot less popular versus the steel and yellow gold variation. It doesn't have the history, it doesn't have the proven track record, doesn't have the improved wear and tear that the steel and yellow has, it doesn't have the aftermarket value the steel and yellow has. There's several other factors as well that I mentioned that you just have to consider that if you really want to go for the rose gold. One of my favorite watches ever is the Ladies Datejust steel and rose gold with the fluted bezel and the mother of pearl diamond dot dial in 31mm. I think that's a very, very pretty watch. But for me, you can't beat the yellow gold combination. I think it's just such an iconic look and you cannot go wrong at all with this watch. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this comparison between the two metals. Let us know in the comments which variation you prefer. Is it steel and yellow or steel and rose? As always, if you're interested in any of the watches mentioned in this video or any other watches in the industry, then don't hesitate to contact us. We'd be happy to call this watch into stock for you. We occasionally have Datejust, Ladies Datejust in stock anyway. So contact us and it would be a pleasure to help you out.